the Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters. Sponsored by the Green Deco, making your garden beautiful.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. I always worry that I can't even get that far. Anyway, this is episode 37 and I'm still Elaine.
And I'm Julia.
How is it that people actually do contact us, Julia? Because normally we scuttle through this little bit. So if you can remember, you remind them.
Okay, it's Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Potty Plotters, TikTok at The Potty Plotters, email us naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out our website pottyplotters.uk.
You see, I think we've been doing this long enough now that we should have an automated response there, that we should have a huge round of applause or a marching band or something. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, don't curtsy, Julie. Nobody can see you. Anyway, moving on.
What have we been up to this week, Elaine?
Well, autumn packed is what I would now say. So we've been to more WI groups and caused havoc up and down the county. That's been interesting.
Yes, you're going to have to stop throwing things at people and taking that stick out with us.
It seems to work. It makes people listen, and that's important.
Okay, and we've also been talking to a chap about biochar.
Interesting, yes, interesting. I didn't make notes, but evidently we're going to be doing a little bit of an experiment in the very near future.
And also, we've been working on that community allotment plot again, and we've been out to see a woodman, a muckman, and a scrapman, and the soil man.
Yeah. They're all men. No. That was enough, actually.
Yeah. So we've been out and we've negotiated with people, haven't we?
No, we've made them give us things.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Is that just a posh word for made them do it?
Well, yeah. I always take you in as that threatening presence.
Yeah. Right, but we are making progress on the community plot, which is important.
Yeah.
I think I went all my length again. And actually, it is quite a length, yes. Yes, yet again, I went all my length. If anybody was standing anywhere near me, they would have got squashed. But I sort of, when you fall over and you don't want to make yourself look stupid, you sort of brush yourself down very quickly, don't you? And say, no, I'm fine. You want to run round the corner and bawl your head off because you're hurt everywhere.
Yeah, especially after you tell everyone I'm the clumsy one, and then you're the one who falls over twice in a week.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Do you remember, actually, it was in April and we were talking to the Ecocentrics?
I do remember, yes, yeah. I think we were all so excited because it was all over that Zoomy thing, and it was one of our first Zoomy things.
Yeah.
And we could actually see and hear them.
Yeah, and now we can see and hear them.
In real life.
Yeah. Here's PK and Tom from the Ecocentrics. Welcome to our allotments.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you mean that, Tom?
I don't want to comment on that, really. Thank you very much.
It's not a police interview. It's okay.
Let's just say it's been an education for Tom's gentle young ears.
Oh, really? Yeah, so far. And that was all off air, don't forget.
And we almost got attacked by the local bowls club after going into the wrong private car park.
Oh.
So it's been a journey to get here.
You're safe now. Well... no. Well, you've only just sort of met us, and we gathered you off the car park, literally, and had a little wander around, and we've just come through the back passage. It is a place, and through the back passage from my plot over to Julia's plot. So we haven't really had time to explore all of our green and greenery, but your impressions?
I'm astounded, a bit jealous. I am, going on effusively about the compost toilets, which will be a disappointment to my husband because he'll know that he's got some work to do. But I just think it's amazing what you guys have accomplished here. And I brought a bra that we could garden in, hopefully, and we think we might just be able to get a radish in each cup, possibly. Yeah, so we'll see. A garnish.
A garnish cup.
A garnish bra cup. That's for your listeners.
And Tom, have you brought any underwear with you you'd like to share?
Strip off later.
We've planted pants before.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, we have.
Oh, gosh.
That was one of the funniest things we ever did.
She was so excited. She was like, oh, the Marks and Spencers, they've got plenty of stretch. Well, all I can say is once we'd put a whole bag of compost in, they certainly can stretch, but we were only planting one tomato plant, so we didn't need that much compost.
Who knows what you can get in your underwear. Anyway, moving on. So here we are. This is our beer garden, actually. And we wanted, and we're really pleased that you were able to spare us the time, we wanted to talk to you about allotments generally, because a lot of people envisage that when we say the word allotment, they think about rectangles, they think about mud, they think about wellies, but actually that's not what we're about. What is your impression then of what you've seen so far?
I've got a confession to make here.
Oh, my word.
This is the first allotment I've ever been onto.
No.
Oh, I
Tom,
know.
I don't think you're British.
Yeah.
No.
It's dramatic music there.
It is, yeah.
Yes, dun dun dun.
Didn't you even have a grandparent with an allotment?
Were you unloved?
Well, there's one by my house, and I'm daunted by how regular it is, and all of the shapes and patterns, and how manicured it is. And it's very different here.
And what are you saying? We're scruffy. Backhanded insult.
Backhanded insult. Yeah, the British are
Hopefully.
excellent at that.
Yeah, you don't. When you're on a train, you don't look out the train window. It probably doesn't actually, like us, and look out the train window and look at all the beautiful allotment sites as you're travelling along. You've never picked them out then. No.
Not good enough, no.
Well, I guess what's fair to say is that Elaine and Julia are Tom's first.
An allotment
My
virgin.
virginity disappearing.
An allotment virgin. Right.
Wow.
quite amazing.
Look, you can see them
surprise.
glowing already.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Shall we make a plaque?
Yes, we will. Okay. Yes.
Okay, we'll get that done afterwards. So, when it is that we talk about allotments, you see, we haven't got any electricity here. We haven't got any running water. So, when you look at all of this is what we do. We gather our own water. We are your ecocentrics because we are quite bonkers, as you know, but we are I can't even- You say it.
Yeah.
You're ecologist.
Yeah.
I mean, how green are allotments?
Well, I think the folks you've got here are living and breathing the world that PK and I want to see in the future. We walk through here, and the first thing I've seen is just bees flying around, all this life in the area. And you walk through other places, and it's just grass, desolate, lifeless, and you can see everything thriving around here.
Yeah, things are thriving, I think, is a perfect word. And I love seeing that you've got the water harvesters off of every available surface that can catch water so that you don't have to, be using city or tap water, which we think is more eco-friendly. And it hasn't been treated as well. So it's actually rainwater with more of the nutrients. And everything's just overgrowing each other, but still in a way that you feel like you can be part of it without being overwhelmed. And I think it's just glorious. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful out here. You guys are, hey, it's a wonder. You guys should get your own show.
We have. It's called a podcast. What is she doing here? So, if it was that you could change the world of allotments, what would you think to tell other allotmenteers that they should be doing?
Well, I think it's interesting because the people that I know that have allotments always use loads of chemicals. And chemical-heavy allotments, something that the people that I speak to that have them, they're just chucking them on there because they want the biggest tomatoes. They don't want stuff eating them. But actually, you look around here and you see things thriving already. You can see, we've walked past loads of chilies, loads of tomatoes, loads of beans, and the asparagus already. And I presume there's not those nasties going in the stuck ground here.
We use muck.
Muck.
Horse muck.
Is horse muck good? Are we being environmentally friendly using the horse muck? Because it's got to go somewhere.
And it's better than when I stood in some yesterday walking down the streets of Congleton. So
Yeah, so
Horse muck.
is it on the street when it could be working working to grow food? I think you're doing okay.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's available. It's How do you guys use your composting from your human waste?
From the human waste that comes from the toilets, that is only used around either the fruit trees or the flowers on site. We don't use it for any of the food stuff.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yes, I don't think we're allowed to, but countries do, don't they? Countries do use human manure. Have you met that? That's a word, isn't it, Tom? I'm looking at Tom, he's going to tell me.
Human manure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
There's all sorts of tech going on around it at the moment, and like I saw one the other day of a canal boat which had a human waste composter, but rather than composting it, they just burnt it all, and it just seemed like so much energy going into it when you got the poop pit, pop it straight on the ground.
Now our other toilet on site, we've suddenly moved on to toilets here, but our other toilet on site, it's got like solar power and it's got a wind turbine, so actually the poop turns into almost like desiccated coconutty stuff. Well, could we use that on anything?
Not cake. No, Julia.
I mean, is it bad because it's been burnt down? It's for easy disposal, so what are we...
Well, is it like chard? Is it a bit like chard? Because I think you could use it, sort of like you use coffee grounds, but I'd have to look at the chemical composition. What do you think, Tom?
And no matter what, you're going to kind of be boiling down the nutrients of what we've had. And there'll be bits in there which are definitely good for life around us.
But I can tell you from diets, you'd rather have my poo than Tom's. And I think he'd back me up.
Is that because you're a vegetarian?
And it's the takeaway pizza I got last night. It's definitely not going to be doing wonders for this ground, I don't think.
Well, on that happy note, let's take you round the site.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Right then, Julia, mention the C word yet again, the Christmas challenge.
Yes.
How are you doing with it?
Well, not much has changed since last week. So the potatoes are coming up through the top of the compost, and they're looking nice and healthy. My carrots, well, obviously they're through and growing and looking...
You said that with a smile on your face, like, look at my carrots. Like
yeah, well, I'm only saying that because I've not seen yours. Have you planted any? Or
if I have, you haven't seen them. No, that's for a reason, Julia. It's because you're not through yet.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I've planted enough for two of us. So, and we know that the sprouts are doing very well.
Yes.
And we are going to show PK and Tom these later on, but I have got some magnificent broccoli heads growing. And once I've cut the tops of them off, then I'll have some side shoots. So they'll be ready for Christmas. That's lovely. And what about you? Oh, parsnips. They're still in the ground, but you told me to leave them.
Leave them, yeah, because we need some frost on them, and then that will get the sugars to rise, and they taste completely different then. They taste really yummy, so keep those. But also, what about flower arrangements for the table?
We've taken over the tangerinery, which is now the dryery, and we've created lots of seed heads that we've dried out. So are we going to be doing our edible wreath again?
Definitely, yes. Edible wreaths are a thing, and they are firmly and squarely, I think, down for us around the end of November, because they last for months and months. PK and Tom look at us gone out because they don't know what on earth we're going on about. No. But then so many people don't anyway, so join the club. Right, OK then, so that's the Christmas challenge, lots to go at, and we've still got a future. How are you going to make gravy?
I don't like gravy.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by the Green Deco.
It's that time of year where lots of people are saying that they've got loads of green tomatoes, maybe because they didn't plant them early enough, but what are they going to do with them? We're not talking about green tomato chutney. It's now about how we bring them forward and get them turning red.
So, first of all, I would make sure that whoever's got green tomatoes have taken off the growing tip, because that's really important. Focus all the energy down the plant. Next, make sure that all the foliage, all the leaves around the tomatoes that need to be ripened is removed so that they can get the maximum exposure to the sunlight. And then also cut back on the watering.
And that's really important, because although they might look dry and actually some of the leaves will turn brown, it's okay. The main thing is that you've got to start to starve really your tomatoes of any water, because then they worry. I think they've got little brains inside their tomato-ness.
And they're not alive, you know.
No, mine are alive, Julia. Yeah.
And they've got emotions. They've got emotions, so they're worrying, right?
Yeah, they're worrying, so then they turn to go red, because then they get all embarrassed and everything. And then you can eat them, and then they're red.
Right,
so there you go.
And now, I've been saving my bananas still.
What's that got to do with anything?
For the tomatoes, because we know that the banana I was going to say banana cover.
The banana, that's called a skin, Julia.
The banana skin. We know that if we throw that in with the tomatoes, it helps ripen them.
And what causes that then?
It's some kind of gas that comes off the banana, ethylene, something like that.
Yeah, it makes them...
It makes them ripen. So that's why you don't put your bananas in your fruit bowl, because it makes all your other fruit ripen too quickly.
So eat more bananas, keep the skins and chuck them under the plant.
Yeah.
Not bad advice.
Now, Elaine, I also noticed on the plan that we've got here that you wanted to talk about your red robin. You've never shut up about them, have you? So, come on. What's going on with those red robin tomatoes?
I'm just so happy. It's one of those things I just think that it should be written somewhere. Well, it's written here, I suppose. So we'll just talk about it here then.
Yeah.
So I planted red robin tomatoes. They are a small plant and they don't need any support whatsoever, and they are very compact. They're a dwarf tomato plant. They grow generally around 9 inches in height, and they need a pot round about probably equidistant, 9 inches, 8 to 9 inches. And then what I did was about 3 weeks ago, I cut all mine down because I'd had loads and loads of red cherry tomatoes off them, and they'd finished in effect. So I thought, right, okay, cut them all down to around 1 inch of a stalk left, thinking I was going to compost them later and dry them out. And then dun 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 dun, I saw that was the music, that was my bit. I put in.
I'm glad you've not got that recorder again.
I've put my recorder to one side. I'm going to save that for a finale one day. Okay. And what happened was they started to grow again.
Okay.
So started to water them, and then over the past 3 weeks, not only have they flowered, I've actually got more fruit.
Are you going to leave them in the
again.
greenhouse, Elaine, or are you going to take them home? Because what if we get a frost down here? Won't it kill them?
We'll see what happens, Julia.
Well, no, I'm just thinking you want your second crop. We know these can be grown on a windowsill. In fact, they are the tomato for the non-tomato grower, aren't they? Because they are so easy, and you can put them on your windowsill. So I would recommend you take them home in a couple of weeks. Just a top tip then.
Top tip from Julia. Thank you very much.
Top-notch advice. No Latin included. The Potty Plotters Podcast.
Julia, for the second time in successive years, we've actually done something different with our chilies.
Yes, so we've been drying the chilies on the plant because... Well, let's face it, last year we did it by accident because we ran out of time to
I think that's an experiment.
An experiment. We did it as an experiment, and we were busy at times when we really needed to water them, and there was so much watering last summer, wasn't it? So hot that the chilies got neglected, and so they just dried themselves on the plant. So that actually saved us taking them home and putting them in the dehydrator or anything. So, and it worked really well. And because we use a lot of the chilies when we do the edible wreaths, then that's what we've done again this year.
And it's worked. I've actually picked one off today because I wanted it for something that I'm going to be doing in a little while. But I think that's a brilliant idea. It saves all the faff. And of course, coming back to it, you're not using any electrics, nothing. You don't have to dry them out. They don't go mouldy. They just dry literally and go all wrinkly on the plant.
Yeah, so there's one for a lazy gardener. Just stop watering.
This episode of the podcast is being brought to you by the Green Deco, suppliers of plants and shrubs to the trade and the public at unbelievable prices. Find them by searching online for the Green Deco, and they're also linked from our social media. Don't forget that if you'd like to sponsor us, get in touch with us. naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
So we've moved from the beer garden, and I've got PK and Tom with me while Elaine's cooking in the background, and we're going to have a quick tour of the plots. Now, I just want to show you our flower area. Elaine and I absolutely love flowers, and it is very ordered and manicured in some respects. And I think a lot of people we're very conscious of wildlife, and I think a lot of it is presented, we've got to go wild now. And I think a lot of gardeners are a little bit resistant about that. So are we right to do this? Because everything that we buy and plant is meant to be wildlife friendly. So
I think the most important thing is that you grow, you're just excited to grow. So whether you like something more manicured or you like something more wild, you could do either, or you could do something in between, which is a bit what you've done here, which is really, really beautiful. And it looks like you can see the pollinators. And what other wildlife do you get here?
We get pretty much everything. We've got little hedgehogs that walk through. We've got hoverflies, bees, wasps. We like to give our flowers away as well because we think it makes people happy.
Well, I am all for that. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, very nice to see all the flowers here. And I think if we look as well over things that have happened before, really the UK landscape isn't natural. And if we just leave things to go wild, there's all sorts of invasive species which take over. Yeah. And actually this management process is an important part of it to make sure we keep the good things in and take some of the bad things out. Because otherwise, a few things just go wild.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, in terms of growing our flowers as well, we're conscious. Again, we like to take flowers home. We like to give them away. But we're conscious that, is it something like 80% of flowers in the UK, bought flowers, come from abroad? So it's kind of, we're doing something for the planet, aren't we?
Most of the flowers we buy in shops come from energy intensive farms, where they're indoors, they're pumped full of heat, using lots of processes, lots of fossil fuels. Reality is your stuff out here is just out in the wild.
Yes.
No inputs here. There's no electricity being used to keep this stuff on. So.
No, it is seasonal. It's all seasonal. Now, the next thing I was a bit concerned about, I thought, you might kind of, I don't know what you do to me, but I'm using a plastic polytunnel here. Now this, I was saying to PK earlier, the cover has got a lifespan of 7 to 10 years. So is that a good thing? Because I can grow in this a lot longer than outside.
I actually think it's a great thing. And we talk about plastic. It's not that plastic is necessarily the enemy. It's the fact that we use it so much and just throw it away, and we can't recycle everything we throw away. But using something like this that lasts, like you said, many, many years, and it's helping you to grow food, that's a much more responsible way to do it. And of course, it does lengthen the food growing season, which means you're getting food at a ripe peakness. It's not having to be imported. So I think it's an excellent way. What about you, Tom?
Definitely. And I think it comes down to that we talk about all the time. We boil down complex questions into yes or no answers. And actually, there's a good balance to be made here. And you can repair this. Easy, job done, without having to get something whole new put together.
Absolutely. It is something that I do use year round. So as things are coming out, we're now looking at replacing them with other things. So I love my polytunnel. Once you've had a polytunnel, you never go back.
I am jealous, and I can already see jobs for my husband next year. And so what we're looking at, for our viewers to know, we've got these gorgeous tomatoes growing still. The last of them, I think you said, you've got your peppers coming in, and you've got interspersed marigolds as well. And why is that?
The marigold is a companion plant, so will actually deter the whitefly. So it's a great thing to have in here. And of course, we save the seeds at the end of the year, so they're all going over, and then we just spread them around and share them with our friends. So, but it also looks very jolly, doesn't it? While I've got you in here, I just want you to note that this side is no dig and this side is dig. So we do experiments on the plot, and for the last couple of years, I've been growing no dig outside and dig on one side, and we've also followed it in the polytunnel. So do you know anything about no dig gardening?
I do. It's exciting, and you can trap loads of carbon in the ground by doing no dig.
Right.
And I think when we start to think about the environmental impact of the things that we're doing, and obviously a lot of agricultural practice nowadays, we get most of our food is just intensive, we're ripping up soil, and then there's so much carbon that goes into the atmosphere as a result of it. No dig's an exciting way to see how things are going.
It really is, and there's a lot of kind of progress in that. And we were talking to a lovely guy from an allotment site in Bath who is now, they're starting the first no dig allotment sites that are now spreading throughout the country. And I think it is the way forward, because it does save a lot of work. The thing to note is that I've never had a lesser crop in the no dig, but I've also had less weeds. Now, the big thing about the no dig, obviously, composting. That is the big thing about no dig, is the fact that you need loads of compost. So as you can see, I've got composters, and I've been trialing different ones, and I think that's important that people try something that suits them, because the Dalek ones, I've not found them suit me as much.
And they are actually better for the environment as well, in terms of the amount of carbon emissions that come from them.
What, one of these ones?
Yeah, so when you have normal compost, because you're taking the oxygen out of the environment, methane is released, and methane is a really, really potent greenhouse gas. So that one, because you'll be spinning it, you'll be moving the oxygen around and reoxygenating the compost that's in there, enabling it to break down into carbon dioxide, which is much less potent as a greenhouse gas. PK and I spend an awful lot of time thinking about climate change and the impacts of climate change.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything here on the allotment? Can you notice the world changing, being here year on year on year?
We've definitely noticed that there are longer, drier periods, and also when the rains come, they do come, and we have it for a more prolonged period. We have flooding issues anyway on this site, and although it sometimes benefits us, because obviously if you've got a high water table, it can be a benefit. Sometimes it does mean that we can't get on the plots until much later in the year.
And how do you prepare for that? How do you think about it in the future?
It's about thinking around the problems. So in terms of planting where you know that you've got a particular area that floods, or we've got, it is going to flood, I wouldn't necessarily be planting any winter crops in that area. So work around the problem. Anything that I know is going to be water intensive, then in terms of a thirsty plant, I will plant there in a wet area that I know is going to be wet. Obviously, we're saving a lot more water if we can save water. It's just thinking about it. And we're also building upwards. So we're doing a lot more raised beds on site and also that actually means that the ground is warmer. So you can plant a little bit earlier as well.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by the Green Deco.
Well, good of you to come back, Julia, because I've been busy cooking while you've been talking and walking round.
Have you finished?
I've just got a mouthful of cucumber, but I've got rid of that now.
Yeah.
So, I have finished. And what I've done is I've used the vegetables off the plot. Mm-hmm. So I've used onions, potatoes, chard, which people think is sometimes rhubarb. It's really not. And then I've added chilies and your red peppers, actually. Yeah. And then I've added cumin seeds, turmeric, sugar, salt, and a little tiny bit of
gram flour.
Yeah, well, it isn't a little tiny bit, really. No. It was about, I don't know, because I was going to say in grams, and I can't do that. No. So it's a couple of handfuls. That's what I've done. And then,
is that your handful or my handful?
Mine,
okay,
not yours. Yeah. So that is quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what you do is you mix it all round and leave it, and something magical happens, because then the moisture is drawn out, and it makes this batter stuff. And then all you have to do is fry it, and that's what I've done while you've been just walking and talking. I've added no dahlias.
No, well, good.
Okay.
Right, okay. Well,
okay,
I think you're going to talk about that now, aren't you?
I have just talked about it, Julia. If you can just stay with us, that's okay. So, over to you, Tom and PK, and I've actually sliced up some beefsteak tomatoes and cucumber. Can I say the cucumber's delicious, Julia?
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
I can concur. I was tasting those cucumbers, and I thought these are some of the best tasting cucumbers I've ever had.
Oh, have you paid her while you've been
No, not paid her.
And I'm going to comment on these amazing, we call them fritters in the United States, but these deep fried, gorgeous garden fresh vegetables are glorious. And I mean, and if you could see them, they're so beautiful. They should be on Waitrose front cover next month.
Oh, if you could write to them, PK, please.
Yes. Hashtag Waitrose front cover.
I've got to say, I was a bit anxious when I was being told there was food on the way after just seeing mountains of chilies, thinking you were going to sit us down and we have to do a chili challenge. But I've been pleasantly surprised by some absolutely amazing pakoras.
Can we just ask how many food miles have we used doing the cooking today?
Well, if you combine it, it's at least a quarter of a mile, I think, of the footsteps that have come around this allotment here. So
low mileage, low carbon footprint for the distance this food had to come. Very low carbon in terms of how it was grown, and really, really high peak of nutrition because you're picking them right when they're ripe, right off the vine. So I think this is the best you could do in terms of mileage and nutrient density.
Oh, brilliant.
And not a bad flavour either.
The Potty Plotters Plotcast with simple recipes for gluts and guts.
Thanks again to the Green Deco for sponsoring this episode, and don't forget to get in touch if you've got any questions or simply want to let us know how you're going on with growing your own fruit, flowers or veg. Send us a photo. We love looking at those photos, don't we?
Remember, be careful with that title again. We don't want another big one.
But thank you too for PK and for Tom, the Ecocentrics, for your time and your advice, and amazingly we will listen and see if it is that we can make some changes on our plots.
Yes,
we might actually just convert them. Don't you think it's easier? They'll have greenhouses by the end of next year.
Yeah,
Let's
they
have
will.
A bet.
Yeah, yes. I'm sure of it.
I think it's a much better idea. Anyway, we're going to give them some flowers.
Yes.
And we've got flowers for other people as well, for something that we're going to be doing in the city centre for Macmillan and also for Treetops, which is a great cause because it's Macmillan Coffee Morning this next week. So why not do something different and give flowers away to people? Did I tell you that you can eat dahlias?
Yes, I ate them, remember. I'm still alive, so then they are edible.
But thinking about it, I wonder if that's why they call them dinner plate dahlias.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by the Green Deco, is an Amberland Media production.